Glad to have y'all here. Appreciate colleagues being here. I know there's a lot going on, so let me just make a couple of quick comments real quick to the members of the committee and to the public that's here as well too. Thanks, Chairman McCall, being here too. Obviously, we had news yesterday from Governor Deal. He put out a press release, not a press release, a statement that he was not going to be supportive of any measure that involved cultivation of marijuana for any purposes, at least during the remainder of his tenure. And let me just make a couple of brief comments on that. One, I was disappointed in that because I feel like we've got some good positive measures that had the proper restrictions and regulations in place, including this bill, which is similar to HB 645, the bill that we're going to hear today, HB 764. And so, but I was not surprised. Governor Deal has not been supportive of cultivation during the last several years during this debate, so I'm not surprised by that. He did make a comment that he felt like that we needed to urge Congress to take some action, and I'm grateful to my colleague Micah Gravely, who actually spoke from the well last week sometime, I think, regarding the urging resolution where we are trying to encourage Congress to act and to take action and change the law, so there's not as much confusion as well. But let me just be very clear to the committee and to those in the public who are following this issue. This is not an issue that is going to go away. It will continue to be debated and discussed, and will be a clear issue in the governor's race in 2018. That whoever the next governor is, he or she will have to squarely deal with this issue because there are every indication that polls show that 70 to 75% of Georgians want us to deal with this issue. There are a significant amount of legislators that feel passionately about this issue, and so whether it's me, whether it's any of the members of this committee who feel passionately about it, it's not going to go away and will continue to be debated, and hopefully a solution will come up. So that's where we are. It's not going to deter the work of this committee. We're going to continue to meet. We're going to continue to address issues that are out there, and so I look forward to working with each of you as we continue to find a solution for what Georgians clearly want us to find a solution for, and that's for access for medical cannabis here in our state. So, Chairman McCall, you got a comment you want to throw out there?
It's more of a comment than it is anything.
Yes, sir.
All these folks that are arguing with us and don't want it to be made available have never stood by that child while he was having a grand mal seizure, and the only thing you could do is put a popsicle stick in his mouth to keep him from swallowing his tongue. It is time people woke up as to what's going on with kids that have these problems.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say folks are over religious sometimes, but sometimes we got to step back and take a look at what really might help. And the good Lord put this plant here, and if it'll work, it'll work.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't have said it better myself, Chairman McCall, and I know you have personal experience, and your personal story involves your own family member as well too. I won't share much of that unless you want to, but thank you for your passion and your encouragement and support of this issue, this measure. Representative Caldwell, do you have a question, comment?
I hit it.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hear debate on Representative Clark's bill. Representative Clark, if you want to come on up. So let me just be clear about this bill. There are two pieces of this puzzle on HB 764. One of them is the exact same language that was in HB 645, which this committee agreed to move forward to Judy non-civil, which involved a cultivation method. The second piece is adding a couple of conditions to the current law. And so, so for the purposes of this meeting today, we're not going to rehash what we've already discussed. So, and Representative Clark would like the same thing. If you'll briefly walk us through the couple of conditions that you want to add to the existing current law, and that's what we're going to have discussion and debate about today. And so we'll leave the discussion of the cultivation issue for another time. Is that fair? That good, the committee? Good. And so we'll move pretty quickly. And so I know you have a couple of folks that want to give some testimony. We want to make sure we make some time for those folks. Keep in mind to those testifying too, these committee members have other places they need to go as well too. So we're going to move very quickly for our hearing today. Okay. So Representative Clark, it's all you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chairman, and to the committee members. I bring House Bill 764, and I've named it Have You Forgotten Act, because I think it's especially directed at the veterans, including myself, who have been willing to go and give everything for this country that we love so much. And I've been in, this is my 4th year down at the House, and I've slowly, more and more, studying it and really watching my colleague, Representative Alan Peake, watching him lead and his passion, and also myself. I come from the background of, is marijuana good for you? Because I grew up, it's a gateway drug. There's nothing good about it, and so I'm a man of faith. I mean, my faith leads me in every single thing I do. I live and die for that. Number one. Second, I live and die for my country, and so this has been some time just kind of watching. I've spoken out a little bit the last few years, but a little bit more and more as I study it, because I want to make sure that I'm not going to hurt somebody. I'm not going to overstep something that I should not be overstepping my boundaries and not doing good for my state and my nation and for the next generation. Especially now, I have a little girl coming, and so I want to make sure even more that what I do, everything I do, is 100% right, moral, and is truly going to help everybody. So with that, on this bill, I've added 2 conditions. Why it is a substitute is I added 1, and then I was just thinking about it, and I said, I have to add a second. So it's adding PTSD as a condition, and also chronic pain. And I believe the chronic pain is just as important, maybe even more in some areas, because of, as veterans right now, the statistics are 60% and climbing of coming back with chronic pains. And I know I don't take anything currently, but I was a 11 Bravo kid, kicking in the doors, tracking down the enemy type stuff, and frontline stuff, and I definitely had injuries here and there from that. And so chronic pains are something that, if it's not affecting me now, I'm pretty sure down the road it will, just from all that we go through and what I did in my job. And they even say that at least 50%, they're tracking the statistics, that those who served in the Korean War and the Vietnam War are going through chronic pain. And we definitely have seen, even through our working committee, that chronic pain can be helped through medical cannabis oil. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I have put it back in. I put it back on, because the what's going on at the VA with the opioids and how many they're handing out, that this will bring down the death of the 22 veterans that are dying, give or take, every single day. And so those are the 2 reasons I'm doing that. And the death rate from the opiate overdose among the VA patients is double the national average. So that's why I think it's a moral obligation, and it's the right thing, is to help these VA patients, my fellow veterans who are going through chronic pains, who are needing it, and they're at double the rate of the national average. So I think that's just one reason. Another one, the VA has averaged more than 1 opiate prescription per patient for the past 2 years. That's huge. And we know we have the science showing it. And I have fellow veterans, which right now it's illegal if you're doing it, but they've come to me saying, I'm taking it, it's helping. And we have seen the proof in other states that have allowed this. And why are we still just sitting back saying, no, we're going to wait for the federal government, when the very, very veterans who gave us the freedom that we have today, and there's around 1.3 million who have given their life, men and women, and I don't know why we even, for a second, even almost debating this, when there are so many who are dying, who are asking for this option. I think that we can be the generation that ends this opioid epidemic, and I think it starts here, helping out veterans. Because imagine every veteran, that's about 22 a day. That's 22 leaders who are some of the elite in our country, as in ones who are willing to give their life, go serve our country, then they come back, and then they'll kill themselves or overdosing. And those are leaders, men and women, who could be doing so many great things in our community, but they're no longer here. They're laying in coffins. So I just think that's just one of the reasons. It says the estimated number of drug deaths in 2016 topped the total number of soldiers killed in the war on terror and the Vietnam Wars combined. So, that's a lot. And give or take a few numbers. But that just shows you the battlefield that we left over there is now right here in our backyard. And so I think it shows you with the chronic pain, we definitely need to end the PTSD. I have enough of my fellow veterans, ones who are prominent leaders in our community. We're not talking about people who are doing nothing with their lives, ones who are fathers and family men and all that, and women who are saying, hey, I've tried this, I've done it, it's helping, but it's illegal. And we swore to uphold the Constitution, to uphold the laws, and we're semi having to break the laws, and that doesn't make us feel good because we're the type who take it to even a whole new level of pride by following the laws and all that, but we're asking for this because it's killing us over here, going to the VA and having these opioids. And I know one of my good friends, he was telling me that we had come out together, saw the same things, fought right next to each other. He comes back, goes to the VA, they get him on a list of all these, drugs, saying, you need this and this and this for this. And before he knows it, he's divorced, loses his kids and all that. Awesome guy. He's a class act. And he wakes up one morning, he's telling me, he goes, and I realized I lost my wife, I lost my kids, lost my job. And he was like, I was just drugged out of my mind, really. And he decided, he's like, I'm not living this life. And he actually started looking around at some other options, and he started doing the medical cannabis. And he now has a successful landscaping company. He's engaged now to an amazing woman. He has his kids back in his life, and he's back to the man I knew him as, full of life. And so, but these are the stories that people who haven't to break the law, and they can't come out, and it breaks me because I'm sitting there going, man, what's his problem, And then he comes down and tells me how he changed his life. I'm like, that's amazing. And he's somebody who's went over there and was willing to give his life. Thank God he didn't have to. But then a lot who have been willing to came back and have lost their lives based on this. So I'm very passionate, and that's why I'm carrying it. And I think it's a very low risk, if any, because you can't overdose on the medical marijuana, the cannabis oil. And so it's a huge reward and something that could save so many lives. And I just want to say that, we say that cannabis, is a gateway drug, but I think it's an exit path from the opiates. That's what it's going to do. I think we've seen enough evidence. I think it's time to step up and to help the veterans, especially. And just one, three more things. But Merck, the pharmaceutical company, they created Vioxx, if we remember that. When they were testing it and all that, it was shown that it could kill people, And the FDA, it got passed somehow, it got passed, it went on the market, killed around 50,000 people. And you see that this was allowed, it had there were a lot of side effects. It killed 50,000 people. And the CEO got a slap on the wrist, pretty much, I think 30 or 40 million, and he went on his way. And the thing is I'm not against pharmaceutical drugs. I'm not against medication. But I'm saying is, if we can allow something like this, and there's many other drugs on the market that have huge side effects, and we know the medical cannabis, hands down, we know 100%, you cannot overdose on this. It's not going to just drop you dead. And we're not allowing it. It's morally wrong, and I think it even goes against my faith. And I don't just throw my faith around like tying that in, but it is. I believe, how can you say that, and even, there's nothing against some of the faith organizations who I know who speak against this, but the thing is if it's saving lives, if you can't overdose, why not allow it? If you see it with the kids with seizures, we have the veterans who are coming to me, and I I don't just listen to anybody and say, oh, I'm gonna run with some story. I mean, my character, who I am, means everything. I know. I mean, I have a girl coming, and I mean, I would do anything. I would, go through anything to keep my character and who I am intact. And so when I have people coming to me begging and saying, let us allow this, and we keep sitting here, I mean, even the governor being against it. I know he has a good heart. I know he loves his state. He loves his nation. I know that. But we're looking at it wrong, and one day, we're definitely going to look back one day on history and say we made one of the biggest mistakes of our lives by not passing this a long time ago and looking into this. And I realize, I mean, we can be people, men and women of strong convictions and all that, but at the same time, we have to always go look at every single thing, no matter how strongly you believe something that's right or wrong, and say, I could be wrong. And again, I mean, I could be wrong, I'll say that, but you're going to show me with evidence, and I think it shows you that, every bit of it is on our side. And just last two things, I just want to say that in 2014, there was a big study done that found significant decreases in opioid overdose deaths where states had legalized medical marijuana. On average, these states have had near a 25% lower mortality rate from opioids than states without such laws. And it continues to climb those percentages from those states that are allowing it. Because some people are going to say, I'm just going to stay on the opioids, not go try it. But the longer the states are there, it's showing you it's climbing, it's saving lives. So that's my reason. I'm passionate. I guess you can tell about that. But I know it will save lives. I don't think I have PTSD or any of that. I don't take anything. I'm good to go. I've come back and but we all handle it different from what we saw. And I've seen my buddies who handle it way different. And so I think this will give them a chance to truly live and reduce these 22 deaths a day.
Representative Clark, thank you for your testimony. One, thank you for your service to our country. Two, appreciate that and your passion on this issue. To the members of Representative Representative Beskin, just so you'll know, HB 764 we are debating today. The bulk of it is the exact same bill as HB 645, with the exception of lines 84 and 85, where he has added two conditions to the current law. And so that's all we're going to debate today is the addition of the current condition, the addition of two new conditions to current law. And since we've already debated that before, just FYI. Okay, any questions for Representative Clark from the members of the committee? Not seeing any. Thank you, Representative Clark, if you'll hang tight. I think we have a couple of folks that want to testify. And I believe Mr. Luttrell is going to be first. Of course, is that right? Yep. Okay. Right. Why don't you come up and you can have a seat with Representative Clark if you want to, and Representative Clark, why don't you just hang tight and. Representative Luttrell, you and I have had a chance to meet before, and we've heard your testimony before. Looking forward to hearing it again. And I'll just remind you, if you'll just be very brief to the point, and so we make sure our committee members will keep them, and so we can take some action on this bill. So.
Representative Peake, you got a deal on that one because
Okay.
I'm tired of being nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just be point blank to
Okay.
it. I'm Joshua Luttrell, combat veteran, United States Air Force, born in Rabun County. I'm a Georgia boy, tried and true. I mean, there ain't no doubt about it. I live in Florida now. I am one of the lucky ones who is a medical refugee who went to another state because I was forced to, because I can't get the medicine that I want and I need out of my state. And it's a travesty. It's an absolute travesty. I live in the state of Florida because my wife's still active duty. And guess what? Luckily, PTSD and chronic pain are covered on their medical cannabis registry. So me as a veteran can get medicine, and it works. It helps, and it is literally saving my life. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of us out there that are saving their lives. Chronic pain and PTSD.
Is that your card from Florida?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Yeah, okay.
Chronic pain and PTSD are the two things that affect more veterans than anything else. You're looking at 60% of the population of veterans. My morning is tramadol, 4 of them. Naproxen, 500 milligram, one of those. Midday, I'm going to take a hydrocodone. About a couple hours after that, 2 more. It's 4 to 6 hydrocodones a day. Trazodone to sleep at night. Tizanidine for muscle relaxers. This is what the VA does to us. Just literally just throws meds at us. And we've been begging for a different option for decades. And now there are states that are finally showing the federal government that, hey, it's not you, it's the state that tells you what to do. It's the state who guides the federal government. So it's states' rights. That's all this comes down to. We can lead the dad blame South. Florida's already jumped in front of us now. They've got a great program. It's all extraction based. I am a business owner. We've actually got our own CBD line now that's legal in all 50 states, but it doesn't help for everything. It bridges a little bit of a gap, but it doesn't fix the majority of things that cannabis allows us to do, because there's so many different strains, so many different benefits and effects with different elements that come to that cannabis plant. We can't do that and do it legally in all 50 states. The only thing we can do is industrial hemp right now. So in-state cultivation is really huge for us. I'm going to talk about that for a second. I know we're not debating that, sir, but it's huge for us because you've got business owners right here in this crowd that are veterans, that are literally have the land, the knowledge, the network, and know how to get this done. And above all, we've got integrity. That's why we can do this and will do this. With the federal law enforcement, scratch that, state law enforcement overlooking what we're doing, to look in there, we'll use RFID tags, we'll be completely open and let them come in. Governor Dill has no questions when he works with veterans, because we're the ones who went to work and went to war to protect him and his family and everybody in this room's family, and that's something we're extremely passionate about. That's also why Representative Clark was saying that they don't come out from behind that curtain like the great big Oz. They don't want people to know that they're using cannabis because it's illegal. They've got nowhere to get it to. And even if we get this on this registry now, and Georgia can, we can use PTSD and chronic pain in here, how the heck are we supposed to get it here without breaking the federal law? We've got to have an option for in-state access to medicine. That's what it's about. The 50% greater rate from accidental overdose is absolutely sickening to me. And that happens because a veteran does the exact same thing that the pill bottle says that the doctor told him to do. Take it as directed. Okay, I did that. Forgot to have dinner tonight. Had a beer. Guess what? You don't wake up. You're not a mom anymore. You're not a sister. You're not a brother. You're not a husband. You're a corpse in the ground because you took your medicine as directed and maybe didn't have a meal and maybe mixed it with alcohol, which is exactly what every dad blame veteran is doing out there right now. I promise you. I am 4 years sober last weekend from alcohol. I found my PTSD treatment at the bottom of a vodka bottle. Since 2003, I've been searching for it and found it, and it worked until it didn't. And now I have been sober from alcohol for 4 years because of cannabis. It literally has saved my life. My liver enzymes are back in function. They're back in normal range. I'm not going to die really early, man, from liver toxicity. Now, maybe I will because of the medication I'm taking. But you know what? It's not going to be because of alcohol. I want access to medicine. We're begging for access here in this country, in this state. In this state alone, we can lead it and make it happen. We've got to have that chronic pain in there because it affects more veterans than anything else. There is nothing that gets a quicker response for PTSD than a vaporized cartridge of medicine. And I know one of the side effects is, short-term memory loss. What is the one thing you want when you can't get out of that damn desert in the middle of that war? You want to forget those memories. And that's exactly what it allows you to do. Forget those memories. Let's get this thing out of committee and get it to the floor. Let us come down and speak again. Because you know what? I want to make those lawmakers tell me right to my face, nope, not going to vote for this. We won't get up there and support you. Every single member of this House and Senate in the state of Georgia ran on a ticket of supporting veterans rights. We get behind you, we'll support you. Well, guess what? Now you got an opportunity to really step out and do that. And the thing about it is, when you talk about the opioids and the every single, what was that statistic when they're issuing, basically every patient has, every VA, one narcotic for every patient. All right, so get this. Now they're cracking down, right? So guess what that means? Me, 2003, 2004, the first time I took narcotics, and I've been on them since. And guess what? They are now telling me I got to come off of them. What does that do? Pushes me to the black market. Pushes me to go get heroin or go get something else off the street that I can't trust and don't know what I'm getting. That's why we have these overdose deaths. The VA is literally stopping prescribing chronic pain medicine now. And yeah, it's one of those classic overreactions. Hey, few people died, thousands of people in fact, but now we're just going to cut it off for everybody. That's horrible, but that's what's happening. So now we're not going to have any answers anymore. And we are coming to you all to help your people, your citizens, your veterans who laid everything on the line in defense of this country, in defense of this Constitution, that are begging for access to medicine now, that are saying, please help us get better, because we know what works. This is no longer anecdotal. There are tons of studies out there. Israel leads the world in cannabis research, and there's a 30% reduction in TBIs with administration of CBD immediately after a TBI. What the hell are we waiting on? Why are we dragging our feet in this state when we got veterans dying, my brothers and sisters, his brothers and sisters that are dying every single day? And that has got to stop. We've got to make sure that we change that. We can do it right here. You know, and I've met some wonderful people. We've been doing this for 4 years, sir, that I met you. Amazing families in the background. You all were really happy and real quick to help the kids. What the hell are you waiting on to help the veterans out for? Why? Why? We have been viable members of society. We served our country. Now all we're trying to do is become more viable members of society. We're trying to be moms and dads and brothers and sisters and husbands and wives because cannabis allows us to do that. But the narcotics, the Ptsd medicine, when you take those, people aren't killing themselves because of the perils of war. We're killing ourselves because the medicine makes us a damn zombie, and we don't care about life anymore, and we can't get back to who we were, and that's what the issue is. So this right here is a challenge coin. I don't know if any of you all know about it. There's a bunch of veterans in this room that know about it, all right? And I'm going to issue a challenge to you all. I got this. It says Global War on Freedom. Right there. 5 forces. I'm going to challenge you all to save our lives. I'm going to challenge you all to make a difference. Lead the Southeast. We've got the most fertile land in this country, right here in our backyard. Let's grow cannabis. Let's make sure that veterans are the ones who are allowed to grow it. I've got a business. John's got a business. He's going to speak next. We can all come in there. The integrity, the security behind it. We know how to do all of this. I've done the extraction. We've done everything. There's no questions about it. Governor Deal should have 0 questions. It's not about, we should advocate at the federal level. No, states lead the way. States tell the federal government what to do. So I challenge you all to save me and save my life.
Mr. Trail, thank you for your testimony today. Appreciate you being here. It's always
Thank you, sir.
a pleasure to hear your story and your success and turnaround in your life, which is pretty remarkable. Let me ask you just real quick. Have you been able to, since you've moved to Florida and been able to access a product there? I know theirs is just a low THC oil product, or low THC product at this point.
It's actually not anymore, sir.
Is that right? Okay. I know
it's
they're
full THC.
Have they got it implemented?
Yeah, so what they do is that you have to start with a low THC to start with the CBD THC regimen, and then you can work up after you've seen a doctor over a 3-month period.
Okay.
They can recommend something different if it
Okay.
doesn't work. And in fact, that's what I had to do.
Okay.
I'm home right now because my grandmother got diagnosed with multiple myeloma. I've been here since December, back in my state, where I want to retire at, where my wife and I are going to retire. She's 18 years in the Air Force. We met in 1999 in tech school, and we're stationed at Eglin Air Force Base, and she's going to retire in a few years. And this is where we want to call home, and we want to be in the cannabis business. We want to be saving lives of our own brothers and sisters. Let us come home. That's why I'm home. I'm taking care of my grandmother who can benefit from this.
Well, the question I had was, since you've been able to access an elevated level of THC product, have you been able to come off of the narcotics, some of the narcotics, prescription
I've been able to
drugs
reduce my consumption, sir, but I don't think I'll ever be able to come off
Okay.
completely. There's
Okay.
still days, even the cannabis doesn't touch it.
Right.
But pain meds work,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But the ability to reduce my opioid intake is tremendous, and that's huge because that's
Yeah.
quality of life we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the constipation that goes away. That's the erectile dysfunction that goes away. You know, all the issues that come up, those side effects from the narcotics that I don't have anymore, and that's great because the cannabis works.
Right. Okay. You willing to stand for some questions? If there
Yes,
are
sir. Please do.
Any questions for Ms. Little? I don't think we have any. Thank you for being here. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
And I think we've got one other veteran, Mr. Jackson, John Jackson. You want to come up and welcome to our committee. We're glad to have you here, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. My name is John Jackson. I'm a disabled veteran. Served 11 years with the 75th Ranger Regiment. I did 6 combat tours. Over that period of time, spent 40 months, my first 8 years in combat. My last deployment, while I was overseas, my wife called me and divorced me. She said she couldn't do it anymore because I just absolutely love war. So I'm one of these guys that lived in a very high up-tempo environment. I'm also one of these guys that refuse to believe that I'm weak, and I push through the pain. So the hardest thing for veterans are when we go to the VA and the VA asks us, how are you doing? I tell them I'm doing okay. And that's their, That's their written dialogue for how I'm feeling. Because I don't want to talk to them. We have nothing in common. It's just a dog and pony show about listening to war stories and things like that, so we withdraw. But who gets it? My wife. She understands and she sees the pain. My friends, they see that I'm not this jovial person that I used to be before I went to war. The community, they notice a difference. I've since then started a nonprofit organization to help veterans out. We run Stag Vets down in Milledgeville. We focus on agriculture as a way to help vets find their new normal. Marijuana is illegal in this state, so we do not push that. We do not advocate that. However, I travel all over the country. I speak. I've done TEDx talks and things like that. And I will tell you, from the Vietnam War all the way down, there's an amazing coalition of folks who have went to marijuana for one thing, and that's to have a better quality of life. And so what we're looking for is not for veterans to say, to tamper down the noise or things like that. I think we're missing a mark on, are we able to give our veterans a better quality of life? And we're not focusing on that. Georgia is the leader in agriculture. We're leading in a lot of, IT, tech things. You have all these other businesses, multi-billion-dollar organizations who are outside of this state who would love to come to this state, but because of our laws based on how we treat marijuana and things like that, they don't want to come. We could be the leader in taking care of our veterans in a very positive way. I understand Nathan Deal's issues with regards to cultivation and things like that, and those are things that, when you bring it to the table, we understand what the federal laws say, and, he has his own morality, as we do all have our own morality. But I will tell you that the state of Georgia is not there with me at 2 o'clock in the morning when I have a guy who's pulling the gun away from his face because he is on opioid addictions, and I have to talk him down, talk him off the ledge. The state of Georgia is not there with me when I have a wife who's just totally picked up and left because her husband can't seem to get it together. The answer for our veterans is more pills, and we can care less about their quality of life. And so what I start to do, I start to dig back and to see all the prescriptions that the VA gave to me, and on every single bottle of all these prescriptions, there's one clause. And this is what I want to talk about. If I am taking something for PTSD, there's a risk there that says, warning that says, hey, this drug may cause suicidal ideation. Well, am I taking the drug so that way I don't commit suicide? What is the risk of me having suicide? Hey, it may cause you to have suicide ideation. But there's this one clause on every single bottle, and it says that the benefits outweigh the risk. That's what it says. The benefits outweigh the risk on every single pharmaceutical prescription med. So I ask, are opioids less dangerous or more dangerous than marijuana? We all know the truth to that. And so if the benefits outweigh the risk on such a small amount of THC that can help towards chronic pain or help get a veteran his life back or reduce the implications of taking alcohol, then we should take the steps to make sure that our veterans and the people of this state have those same benefits, because they do outweigh the risk. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. But would you mind if there's some questions? Reverend Beskin? Mm-hmm. There you go. Try it now. There you go. Yep. It's on, so why don't you speak into it, because maybe it'll kick in here.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Did you say you live here in Georgia?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Because the other, Mr. Trail, I believe now lives in Florida primarily, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry for asking personal questions, but do you have a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yeah, 100%, and traumatic brain injury amongst neural damage and amongst other things.
I know all of our medical information is personal, so I don't.
That's fine.
Ask any more questions than that, but just because we're considering adding that condition here, is low HC oil effective to treat your post-traumatic stress disorder?
So, I went to Nevada, right? I spent some time in Nevada. I was talking to Microsoft and things like that, and they had this dispensary. And I said, you know what? I can't get into my state of Georgia. Let me go here into this place. And it was kind of like Disney World. I'm like, what are these people doing? It's kind of weird. But it's pretty regulated. And I went there, and I told the people, I said, hey, you know what? I have issues with sleeping. I have issues with chronic pain and things like that. I hardly ever get a good night's sleep because I have to take Ambien and all that kind of stuff. Well, they said, hey, you know what? This will work for you. So I went. I took that for the first night. I slept like a rock, literally. And I woke up. No, whatever. Because the cool thing about this whole thing is they're different. Yeah, there's treatment. There's different strains to affect certain things. You know, all I know is that I woke up the next morning refreshed, rejuvenated, wanting to work out, and I'm like, you know what, this is it. You know, and let's be honest, guys. I'm here. I have a lot of people that I represent. A lot of them in the Bible Belt and things like that too. I was really concerned about even speaking up about marijuana as being a positive thing in life. However, when I start speaking to a lot of people in the Bible Belt that says, you know what, we agree with you too. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people in this state, more than we are leading on to believe, that want medicinal marijuana in the state.
Representative Beskins, are you kind of trying to get to if the low THC oil would be effective for PTSD? Is that kind of where you were going?
It sounds like the full THC oil that you got in Nevada gave you more relief than the low THC oil, which is what we're talking about.
Well,
We're not talking about cultivating it
Right.
today.
That's right.
We're not talking about full THC today. We're talking about whether we should add post-traumatic stress disorder as a condition for low THC oil. It doesn't help.
yeah, and you know what, ma'am? You've raised a great point, too, because you always want to start at the lowest dose on any medication, right? And so the lowest dose possible for any medication is where you want to start at. And then based on the doctor's, how they move forward and how you are, then you prescribe up. And so I do agree with you. For some people, it may work. For others, they may need a little higher dose.
I want to probe that a little bit. Yeah, I see where you're going, and I want to make sure we get a good answer to that. And I'll maybe a little to Mr. Luttrell as well too. Does the low THC oil that's allowed under Georgia law prove to be effective for the PTSD symptoms to the best of your knowledge? That's the question.
Okay, yeah, I haven't taken any low THC. I don't know personally. You know.
Ms. Luttrell, do you have?
So I got two answers for you on that one. It helps depending on the situation. So if I wake up from a night terror where I'm shaking, I'm sweating, I can't get back to where I'm at, there is nothing other than the high THC that's going to give me that immediate benefit that I need. Now, the low THC will work to an extent, and it will help me settle down. Going through the day, it will help us out. So it will work, but it just doesn't work as effective for other people, and it may not work for others too.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
two answers on that.
Okay, Representative Biskin, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I will let you continue.
And one more question, I'm not sure if there's anyone here who can speak to this question, but I'm very sensitive, and thank you all in this room for your service, your military service. I so greatly appreciate that. It would seem to me that most veterans who have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder also have chronic pain, so that there are very few people who are diagnosed with PTSD that don't have chronic pain. So all PTSD people, if we eliminated a chronic pain condition, all veterans could receive this treatment that have a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. Not all chronic pain people have PTSD, but all PTSD people have chronic pain. It would seem to me.
The majority of them will, yes.
So
Where you going? Where you going with you?
Talk about that as a potential amendment to this bill to strike out that line chronic pain to allow our veterans to get the treatment for their post-traumatic stress disorder. I do know that there's some concern. Everything else that's on this list is a diagnosis or a disorder or a condition that a medical professional can objectively diagnose you with. there are some people who are concerned that chronic pain is not an objective complaint and there's no subjective measure of it. So, to me, subparagraph P is something that's different than everything A through 0. And if we could help everybody, A through O, if we can help everybody in O without P, I think we could talk about
Well, I mean,
keep chronic pain there.
Okay.
of course, I mean, my concern
Yeah.
is most with PTSD will have chronic pain, but not all, and you're still cutting out, there's still a big segment of veterans
Right.
who have the chronic pain, and I know a lot of veterans too who do not have the PTSD symptoms and have been labeled, but the chronic pain, so.
Question, have we had anybody who could really give us facts on that in testimony? That's your understanding, and I would believe that because you're a veteran, but that's why I asked that question. Do some veterans have chronic pain but not PTSD?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that. I mean, I was on the front lines. I mean, I was right there next to my buddy, IEDs going off and all that. I mean, you know, dying and horrible injuries. I mean, I was right there. I mean, I was right there on IED that should have killed me, but I'm actually here walking. But it was, I mean, literally almost. I mean, it went off a few feet away. A huge one. Took out the vehicle. And anyways, I mean, I've not been labeled with PTSD,
Yeah.
but I definitely, I mean, I know I have the chronic pain, you know, or I mean, I live with different, pains here and there from just combat and from being in the military with all the weight we carry, 100+ pounds, all the equipment and weaponry and all that, and you're, rucking on foot carrying 100+ pounds and way above sometimes.
Yeah.
So, right now I'm currently taking nothing, but I think you're cutting out a big segment of people I know who have injuries who are not labeled with PTSD but have the chronic pain, have a lot of, backs are messed up, knees, elbows, everything just destroyed.
And to your point, I work and talk to a lot of folks who don't want the stigma of PTSD, but they complain to me about their chronic pain, and their chronic pain is debilitating. Because what I tell them, now I say, hey, you're feeling good now, but in 10 to 15 years when you have to deal with it and you don't have those in your record, with the VA, you're going to be looking for help and treatment. So you might as well just, pull yourself together. And it's not a sign of weakness to go ahead and talk about those things. But again, we're a culture where, pain drives us, but it can only do it for so long, and once we get out and we're on our own and, we have families and things like that, that pain is really, it really speaks to us. I know personally. I deal with it every single day.
I think also John would agree with me on this, is there's a lot of us who have got out who we wish we had put more down of how we were feeling. And even I regret a few things, because now it's like, okay, down the road, if I have a surgery on, my knees or different things, I'm thinking, or my back, and I'm thinking, I should have done this, and now I'm screwed actually, because I never put it down. Now it's tougher to get it on now to say, wait, hold on, what about this mission, and this one? And I know I was talking to my brother, and he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I'm glad he had put it down for his knee, and I was thinking, man, I told him I was all good, because I guess maybe being too tough or something, and now I look back and I go, I should have. So that's why I think chronic pain is so crucial, is it's to help so many people who maybe did not put down certain things, because we like to think we're invincible in the military, and then we get out and we realize, hey, we have different conditions, and chronic pain would do a lot.
Does your best get some more questions, or?
No more questions, but a thought for the commission.
Okay, all right. We'll come back to a thought in just a minute. We'll see if there are any further questions. You all finished though? Yep. Okay. Representative Gravely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the representative's point, would it, if I think I see where you're going, correct me if I'm wrong though, and I think everybody in the crowd who has worked with us over the last, was it 4 years?
It's the fifth session, but yeah.
Fifth session. And I may be speaking out of turn, but I feel confident that I am speaking in turn, that the folks on this panel have 100% tried year after year to include a lot of the things being discussed. And after that bill gets through the committee, it's whittled down and whittled down. And unfortunately, and a lot of times with a lot of disappointment, we've gone to the floor to push what we've basically been told is all we could have at that point. So to the lady's point, is it an issue of what could pass the floor? And would it be better served if we had chronic pain for veterans? Knowing that I would support the bill in its complete 100% form right now, as is. I'm trying to think strategically, are we removing chronic pain because we think that it might not pass as a whole when it gets to the floor if it moves through committee? And if we are deliberating on the fact that through testimony, we know that veterans not only can be diagnosed with PTSD, but that a lot of them, through Mr. Clark's testimony, are dealing with, maybe have not been diagnosed with PTSD, but are in fact dealing with chronic pain from any number of scenarios that they could have gone through on the battlefield, coming back home, realizing that maybe an injury was incurred that they didn't know about. And then they get back home and they are starting to experiencing some of the wear and tear that their bodies had gone through on the battlefield. So if we narrowed that to, again, for the record, I support the bill 100% as written, but would it be better strategically if we had PTSD for veterans and chronic pain for veterans? And I'll defer to the author on that. I'm just asking that
We
question.
tried to do that, was it last year or the year before?
Yeah.
And you cannot make a special
Yeah.
classes from what I heard.
I think we ran into trouble with
Yeah.
legislative council on
I
that
got
issue.
you.
So,
So that would be my second point. We're looking at PTSD for veterans, correct, or PTSD in general?
well, again, per legislative council, we can't add a condition and limit it to a class.
All right, so it's PTSD as a whole.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the big question is, and I think even playing around going, okay, well, is it gonna pass or not? I think that would be for pass out of here and go to judiciary non-civil, right?
That's correct.
He's going there. Is they're giving opioids for chronic pain. They're giving opioids for PTSD. I mean, you go to the VA and say, hey, I need this. You can just get it handed to you like it's candy. So the point is, they're giving you the opioids. To this day, right now, I can go down to the VA and say, hey, I have this and this, I'm gonna get some opioids. Absolutely. Chances are. So the point is, I think is the veterans, we're just a few of the many who are asking for it. The American Legion, the biggest voice for us, they have asked over and over. Congress is saying no, Georgia's saying no, many other states are saying no. Thank God a few have said, you know what, the right thing, the moral obligations is to say yes. And so I say we send this forward. We don't change anything. If they say no, then it's a slap in our face, and we try again next year. Sometimes that's just how it works. But hopefully, there's going to be an understanding of this is the right thing, and I think both go hand in hand. And I don't want to take one out. I know with my bill, I'm going to hold to it because the chronic pain is just as important, if not even more important. But I'm not giving up either. Because it's not me being stubborn. Because I understand.
Your preference is to keep both of them in there?
Keep both of them in there.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, one follow-up.
Yep.
And I can assure you, you'll have my support the whole way. I'll saddle up with you and ride this horse to the finish line, as is. I just want to make sure the author didn't have a possibility of saying, well, I could go this way or that way. I'm 100% with you.
No, I'm on the way because I think I'm always about change, as in I'm willing to if it's right. But there is no right from what this bill is saying.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying because I put it in here. It's just because it's the right thing to do. It's been shown to help in other states, so
Okay.
I like to keep
Representative
that.
Parker, we've got a couple more questions, so let's, Representative Caldwell? Okay. Representative Beskin, you got another comment or a question? Oh, Chairman Call, I'm sorry, my bad.
Not understanding how medicine is prescribed. Do opioids have a list like we have in the make for cannabis? Or, they'll give you opioid from everything from a stumped toe to a broke leg.
I think it's probably like most prescription drugs, Chairman Call, it's up to the discretion of the physician. I believe that's So the answer to your question is no.
Jump through hoops and hoops and hoops on top of hoops for something that actually works, and that's what I was asking.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'd be willing to make a motion whenever you want to take it.
Okay. Let me go back to Representative Beskin. Let me make one final comment to the committee too. Just a reminder of the posture that we're in, that we technically cannot amend this bill. We can make recommendations as we move it to the next level, which is Judy non-civil. So if there are recommendations that we would like to make to this bill, we'll entertain those and we'll vote on those as a committee. And those recommendations will move forward in a written statement that Matt will help us draft for the committee. So that's the posture that we will be in.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
If something on this bill we're looking at fails to be recommended by this committee,
Mm-hmm.
could it be adopted or recommended and incorporated by the non-civil judiciary?
Yes, it could. They'll have full discretion to be able to add or subtract or not take a recommendation as they would with any bill that would come before them. So yes.
I mean, if we send it to them without either or both O or P, could they vote to put O or P back in?
They could, yes, that's correct. Or they could elect to add more conditions if they chose to do so.
Can I?
Yes, ma'am.
say
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
My concern about this is from the two veterans we've heard from here today is just a concern that here in Georgia, low THC oil is all that's legal. And it sounds like that is not really helping either of you truly with the post-traumatic stress disorder or the chronic pain. Mr. Luttrell unfortunately has to live in Florida to receive the full THC oil, which you say helps and helps immediately.
No, I have to live in Florida to get a license. I can't get one here because PTSD and chronic pain are not included.
But then, from hearing from both of you, the low THC oil it's not as efficacious as full THC oil. It doesn't really ameliorate the chronic pain because both of you are still on pain treatments of some sort, tramadol or opioids. We don't, this is anecdotal evidence from the two of these veterans here, but considering these two conditions of post-traumatic stress disorder or chronic pain, both of these individuals have both. So if we eliminated chronic pain, they both could get low THC oil here in Georgia to treat both of those conditions, post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic pain. My concern about chronic pain, again, is that it is not an objective condition or one that can be very well measured. And we haven't seen a lot of evidence that this low THC oil relieves the pain.
We're not given that option, that's why.
Yeah.
You know, for chronic pain, you talk about it the VA, if I've been on pain meds for a year, what else do you need? I mean, our medical records say that. So if you've been on pain meds for a year, that's chronic pain, objective or not, doesn't matter. You're managing it. I haven't been given the chance to see, does the low THC, 5% is actually pretty good. It's not super bad. It'll work. It'll bridge a gap until we can get it done and increased and get all that done. So give us a bridge. That's all we're asking for, and that's what it'll do.
And I think the thing is, there's no one thing that fixes everything in life. But I think what we've seen so far on the conditions we have passed, I think the great news is there's 0 overdoses on the medical marijuana, 0. But there's a lot of overdoses on the opioids, and they're still flowing. So I think I'm not saying every condition, but you can add every single condition under the sun, and there's still going to be 0 overdoses. Nobody's going to the funeral home. Nobody's talking about, what if? And I think it's an easy question. I think we're looking too much into this, and I know Joe and I can helping veterans, but I think as a whole we've got to realize we can't keep critiquing as in like, what if it does this or that? It will not kill. It cannot overdose. All it can do is do good. Is it going to fix every single condition? No. Will it eliminate pain forever from one dose and boom, you live 1,000 years and you never die? No. All it's doing is helping. Of course, you're still going to have overdoses happening. You still have, 3 747s or something now in 2018 are going down every week or something with people in it. You fill every single seat. That's how many people are dying on an opioid. So what it's doing is just bringing just one less person dying it's the world to somebody. You're never going to stop everything, So I think moving forward is we know that there is, the risk is so low. I think there's none, but I mean, if you want to go, I mean, find something there to say it's a negative, find something, but it's not going to be a death. It's not going to be an overdose. You walk into somebody's room and you find them dead. I know, I mean, a mom of one of the soldiers who she walked over and he had an overdose, and she finds him in his bedroom, just laying there on his bed. He'd just taken it, and I think he'd had one beer, and it clashed. She had just seen him. I mean, he was just head off. Anyways, finds him laying there dead. So I don't think we need to play around with what if, because no one's dying. People are
Okay.
dying.
Representative Clark, let me just hold the committee for just a minute. Mr. Messner, I know you've been wanting to say something. We're not taking any testimony from the public, but if you've got a very, very quick comment that you think can add some value, just identify yourself very quickly. And
My name is Tom McCain.
Tom McCain, I'm sorry,
retired
Mr.
Air
Mester.
Force veteran. I'm also a retired Georgia peace officer, and I don't have PTSD. If I have any PTSD at all, it's related to law enforcement, not related to being a veteran, okay? Here in Georgia. I do have chronic pain. I've got 4 herniated discs. Now, how they occurred, I don't know, but I know they occurred, okay? Now, I'm a veteran, and I deserve relief for chronic pain. I use low THC. Now, it's not that hard to get, and it's a misdemeanor, and I just don't care whether I get arrested or not for it, okay? I deserve this.
Okay. Thanks, Mr.
Follow-up question.
Yep, sure can. Sure can, Mr. I'm sorry, I called you Mr. Mester. Mr. McCain, I'm sorry. I know who you are. I just had a brain. Appreciate it. Anyway, thank you. Yes, Representative Baskin, yeah.
Does this help your pain? You say you
Yes,
take low THC oil
Yes,
and it helps your pain.
it does. It helps me sleep at night. I was on about 8 different medications that the VA had now, including Oxycontin, hydrocodone, Keppra, Gabapentin, Tramadol, Trazodone, Ambien.
Yeah, okay.
I'll
Thank,
take
Have
any
you,
out of that.
and you're not taking those substances?
No.
thank you, Mr. McCain. Let me just, Representative Baskin, just been for the committee as well, too. You know, I've been dealing with this issue for 5 years now and have been, I can tell you there are stories of individuals who may have had a condition that met the criteria, but and that's on our list, but for all practical purposes, it was chronic pain, and they have been seeing relief from the low THC oil at this point for what it's worth. I'm sorry, and I didn't want to stop you, Representative Baskin. You still got some more questions, or you sure? Okay. Let's see, Representative Gravely, you got.
Yeah, I think the question at hand is, if this bill passes in its current form, let's say it moves to the committee, goes to the floor, and passes, would you gentlemen would you be able to effectively treat PTSD? Mr. Luttrell, would you be able to move back to Georgia, come off some of the regimented opioids that you're being prescribed right now, and be able to treat effectively according to the way this bill's written right now?
I'll be able to reduce it, absolutely, I know that. I don't know about complete, effectiveness of control of it, but if I can reduce opioids, the reason I don't take no opioids now, I'm home, taking care of my grandmother. I've been here since December, so I can't bring my medicine here. It's not legal. So, yeah, so absolutely, I could reduce that, and that's quality of life improvement. Representative Gravely, you know all about that. So, I mean, yes, it would help us. It would absolutely help us.
Okay.
Treat and specifically treating with the levels in which Georgia has allowed under law today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Well, here's posture we're going to be in. Bev, can you hang on for 1 second? I know we're going to start losing members. Here's what we're going to do. I think Representative Clark's bill, again, we're dealing particularly with 84 and 85 O and P. The rest of the body of the bill we've already. And his recommendation is that you would like to see us move forward with both. Representative Baskin, if you have a change to that recommendation, we'll be more than glad to entertain it and let the committee decide on that if you would like. I'll leave that discretion to you. So, okay. Then we will, if it's the will of the committee, if we have a motion to move forward on the bill as it is and recommend. Okay. I recognize Representative Caldwell.
Due to the generosity of Chairman McCall, I will make a motion.
Okay, and second? Okay. All those in favor of moving this bill forward as is to Judy non-civil, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. And that's what we'll do, and that'll be the posture of the bill, and we'll have Matt communicate that. Thank you to the members of the committee and those who testified, to our veterans, including Representative Clark. Thank you for your service to our country. Appreciate your being here, and we'll look forward to continuing to have discussions with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.